Happy Sunday and welcome to the second in the series, Walk With Me. Today we are at the YMCA soccer field complex at some of the trails, and today we'll be doing the Shiprock Loop Trail, which is just a little under a mile. It is a public trail, so of course we'll be practicing social distancing if we do run into someone on the trail, as there does seem to be quite a lot of people out today enjoying the weather. But we'll get started. This is a wooded trail. It loops through and comes back out at the soccer field here at the YMCA complex. As you can see, there's a lot of interesting features on the trail. We have some rock faces and stuff. Some of the more adventurous may want to climb on those, but today we're just sticking to the main trail. As we go along, we'll check to see if there's any new vegetation or anything popping up for the spring. And I expect there will be, as it's been quite sunny the last couple of days. As you can see, some things are starting to green out. We have the rhododendron bushes here. They're not bloomed yet. Those will come probably in the next month or so, but they definitely are green right now. And there's quite a lot of them. So once those bloom out, this will be a really pretty walk. The trail is somewhat steep here. It's a moderate trail, moderate to easy. So for those of you who do have mobility, I highly recommend it. It's a trail that I walk on quite often, at least in the spring and summer and into the early fall. And normally, if things were opened up, we would be having soccer practices here. And this is one of the trails that I like to do during practice because it is a shorter trail and can be completed. You can see here we've got some nice little pines that have sprouted up. And those are actually new this year. Those were not anywhere close to that size last season. So they have grown quite a bit over the winter. Quite a bit of people do utilize these trails. So they are well maintained and they are well marked. In fact, they're probably some of the better trails that I've been on anywhere that I've been, for markings and signs to let you know that you're on the right track. I do recommend that you stay on the trail if you would get out, just because it's very easy to get turned around in the wooded areas, especially if you're not familiar with it. You can see coming up ahead, as we continue to descend downward, we've got a nice little footbridge, and then we'll start to climb back up the peak. It's not a whole lot bloomed out right now, probably due to the tree coverage. There is some sun that peeks through, but a lot of it is shielded. And you do see we do have a little bit of green growing here. Those will become berry bushes. We have those at the house as well. So they're starting to green up a little bit. Still haven't bloomed yet for the season. If we're lucky, we may find a trillium. I'm on the hunt for that today, as those are blooming in some areas right now. They are a rare flower, so if we find one, that'll be great. But we'll start back up the other side. You can see this is a nice view from the trail. And the weather today is remarkable. But we'll continue on. Different times of the year you can find different foliage here. A lot of times there are ferns growing all along the trail, and they'll completely carpet parts of the mountainside. We do have quite a bit of berry bushes growing. There's some more. And you can see the signage kind of lets you know that you're going the right way. which is always important when you're out walking in the woods. You can hear the wind blowing. It's quite a windy day today. Can't feel it as much here on the trail, but when you're out in the open, you definitely can feel it and hear it. You can see a brand new tree here has been uprooted by something. Looks like maybe the wind got it or something pulled that loose. But it's laying there, roots showing. And so far, no trilliums, but we'll continue to look. It's also the time when you can find morel mushrooms. Those are also known as molly moochers locally, and they're very good to eat. They're also a little bit difficult to find, so hopefully we'll see some today. In fact, this isn't one, but this is off of the tree above me. That's very similar to what a molly moocher looks like, just a different color. Like I said, this is not a mushroom. It's a seed pod off of this big tree going right up there. But it's very similar in shape and size of what a morel mushroom would look like. You can see some tire tracks here. These trails are quite popular as well with mountain bike enthusiasts. And me and my son are hoping, now that the weather is starting to improve, to come out and bring our bikes out here one day. My skills are not quite as developed as his, so I'm hopeful if we do bring our bikes out, I don't end up wiping out on one of these rocks. There are quite a few berry bushes blooming out. So once those flower and then fruit, be a nice selection of berries as you go along the trail. You can see some ferns growing here, kind of peeking up through, along with some of the mosses and stuff growing. Everything's just now starting to get a nice green color. You have to watch with some of the bushes sticking out in the trail. They do have briars, so they will scratch. And then we've got, looks like an interesting little red petals here that have fallen off of something. Quite tiny, but more than likely from one of the trees up above. This section of the trail is quite rocky. When we come out, you'll see why it's called Shiprock Trail, as there's a huge rock formation that is shaped very similar to the front of a ship. And that's just up ahead. It's very peaceful on the trails, even though they are widely used. You do on occasion run into someone, but it's not too often. Not quite as crowded as some of the other trails that I've been on. You can see the sun peeking through the trees. And the trail loops back around and goes up on the ridge up above. And as you're walking, you can sometimes hear people coming out that end of the trail as well. And so as we get up here, getting closer to the actual rock formation, which this trail is named for. And we do have the marker up ahead as well, just to let us know that we're still going the right way. They have widened the trail out a bit in this section. There's our marker. So it is relatively easy to see where you need to be. As always, when you're out in the woods or in nature or park, if you see a flower or something that you enjoy, take a picture, appreciate the beauty, but try to leave those and don't pick them. That way the next person can appreciate it as well. You can see up here some large cliffs overhanging. Looks like some possible cave areas up in there. I haven't explored those as I'm not sure how sturdy they are. Here we come to an intersection. We have a trail to our left here, known as Drop-Off Trail. It runs along the ridge line, but we're going to continue on Shiprock. And you can see up ahead, we're approaching the actual Shiprock. This part of the trail does have some really large, really neat trees. They've not leaved out yet. They do all have buds, so won't be much longer until everything here is a bright green. You'll see Shiprock coming up ahead to our left. And that huge feature in front of us right there is how this trail got its name. You can see, judging by the size of the trees, just how large it is. And the sun hitting through. We'll go up around to the front here. I'll give you a view of what that looks like. They do have, for the more adventurous hikers, a ladder. You can climb up and actually sit on top of the rock, way up there. I got about halfway up once and then changed my mind and decided that was not where I wanted to be. But for those who are a bit more adventurous or don't mind heights, it definitely would be a wonderful view. You can see there's kind of a cave area underneath. Neat place to explore. There's our ladder going way, way up there. And then they do have a little picnic table where you can take a rest, just enjoy the view before continuing on the trail. You can see quite a ways perched up here. It's quite a nice view, and kind of sits with the rock overhanging way up there in the sky. But I hope that you enjoyed our walk out to Shiprock on Shiprock Trail. Again, that's at the YMCA Soccer Complex. And I highly recommend, if you do have mobility, you don't have any health concerns, and you practice social distancing, that you come check these trails out. It's definitely a good way to spend an afternoon and a good way to enjoy being with nature. Until next time, stay safe.